But I'm wondering here, for the people that are actively working on XML to publication processes, where does the book design come into this? See, for a LaTeX user, you might adopt a standard book style or find some variant, and you can customize the page size and the front matter layout and so on. But it's not clear to me that XML really has anything to do with that, and yet it has to happen before you get a printed volume that you can sell. So I'd invite comment from people about what they're doing for the back-end book design problem.
I would say that for TEI projects, the last thing you want in your TEI is anything to do with the end output. And generally speaking, the idea is that, especially if you're working on a primary source text, your TEI describes the primary source text and embeds any expertise, any limitations, any additional interpretation that you have into the document. But we draw a clear line between that data and the output that we want to get. So somewhere in the XSLT, the book design output, layout, all of that stuff lives. As far as who does it is concerned, you want a designer, basically. And we've worked with a publisher, and we have a good designer on staff, and get input from them. But I think, yeah, because we're always generating multiple output formats like Nicholas and other people, you don't want that stuff anywhere near your XML.
I'd like to make a comment and also a suggestion. The comment is that the so to speak, the present good match for XML to text to PDF is big, highly automated, large throughput systems dealing with high value data that can afford professional technical experts. So one of the examples is Elsevier doesn't need that, but Elsevier suppliers, their typesetting suppliers, need to be highly automated, and they need to have professional technical support. And Sebastian Ratz used to work for Elsevier before he moved over to Oxford University Computing Services, where I think he was much, much happier, particularly because of the strong association with the text encoding initiative. Another example is aerospace technical documentation. So we're small fry compared to those people, and we have sort of different needs. So that's the first thing, is there is a big industry around this, and we're not part of it, even if tech might be part of it. Another example is the finance industry, where they need to produce automated contracts in PDF for legal reasons, and they want to gain a reliable automated workflow, and they can afford the resources to make it work properly.
Yeah, I come back, I think it was Nelson was asking about the actual formatting and controlling that, right? For Xling paper, what we did was created a separate document type definition for the publishing layout of linguistic documents. So we have what we call publisher style sheets, which is XML. And based on that XML, the transforms actually read that and use it in deciding order of front matter, formatting of titles, sections, how you format into linear text, and on and on and on. And the idea when I first developed it was that each publisher would have their own style, which is somewhat true. And so like a given university, so we have, let's say, art students that are writing theses in linguistics. And the idea is that they would have a publisher style sheet for that particular university that would meet that particular university's requirements for how to format the thesis. So the student would just write the thesis, plug in the style sheet, press the button to produce the PDF, and there it is. So that's the idea.
You don't need my permission to speak.
Andy, did you devise the DTD for the layout and design component as well? Or is there a standard for that?
No, I did it myself based on the parameters that we had. Part of the reason for that was I knew that LaTeX had its own styles, but you kind of had to be a master LaTeX technician or something to be able to control them. So I was looking for something that would be simpler to do.
Arthur, I'm going to ask a difficult question, which is, do you think LaTeX is a better fit, or context is a better fit for this sort of problem? And if so, why?
I really can't say because I haven't worked on such large projects personally as the ones that Andy and Martin work on, for example, or Nicholas. What I do know is that Hans Hagen, who is the main author, the originator of context, he has used context for a large number of very, very large projects. And that he essentially has a completely integrated workflow in context, where context does everything as a single program mostly. So I just don't know the answer to your question, but what I can say is that context is very powerful. However, evidently most of the tech-based workflows that are out there use some form of LaTeX.
From what you've said, I suspect that context has the second mover technical advantage, but it doesn't have the first mover market acceptance advantage. And I don't know where we go forward on that.
Well, I'd like to come back to this issue I raised about the back-end formatting decisions that generate the view that the end reader of the document sees. I mean, as an author of technical material in LaTeX, where I'm using mathematical markup, I'm using computer program examples and computer input and output examples, layout for all of those is quite important. And for example, if I have a long equation and I'm working in a LaTeX document, I can make a decision as to where that equation is broken. Similarly, if I have a computer input and output example, I can choose the line lengths and the font sizes and so on so that they fit in the target document. But it seems that with the generalizations of XML, at least at the author level of XML, I lose all of that control and I don't know how it's handled behind the scenes, and I'm very uneasy about what it'll do to my carefully prepared input.
I think I would say that would be handled downstream in your subsequent processing. If you were using XSLFO, for example, all of the issues around hyphenation and line wrapping and fitting things in spaces can be handled by XSLFO. But the other thing is that with the workflow that I have right now for this particular project, I'm generating tech. So all of those decisions are made by the Zelotech processor based on the tech code that I'm feeding in. So XML through XSLT to the tech. And then, so, I mean, I control what goes into the tech, so I can handle all of those things just like you would. It's just that I'm handling them later on in the build process. Does that make sense, or am I missing something?
Yes, it does.